I've lived in Wells, Somerset for the last 53 years. There were a lot of independent shops in Wells, obviously fish shops, clothes shops, you name it. There was a whole variety that were very interesting. And obviously I was only a little youngster then, but I can remember coming up here with my mother with her little shopping basket, going to the greengrocer and then the fish shop, bakery. There was Mendip Foods. They used to sort of produce cheese and things like that there. Even in Wells we had 2 cinemas. There was one cinema that was the Regal Cinema. It's now I think been made into a nightclub. And then there was another one called the Palace Theatre. Well, that was a lovely building, lovely old building. Another little thing that was in Wells, I mean, there used to be an old-fashioned fire station on the Princess Road. There used to be a swimming pool, an outdoor swimming pool. All that's disappeared. We had a railway line which was taken over by the Wells bypass. There are a lot of new buildings that have appeared, that have brought new jobs to Wells, and there are a lot more activities going on now. I do know of 1 or 2 shops that are still within the family that have sort of run through the generations, but again, because of the era now, they've obviously have to keep up with the times. So again, it's not like the old-fashioned shop you used to see you know, as a child, although it might still be there. I mean, there's Basil Powell shoes, for instance. They've been there for years and it's gone through the generations, but obviously, like everyone, they've had to keep up with the times. Well, I had a little fruit and veg shop, which is now a fish and chip shop. That was in Tucker Street. I mean, the window display still like it is, well, it was in the 60s. All things, I mean, there used to be youth centres, there used to be things like that the kiddies used to go to. That's all disappeared. There used to be a boxing club, which is now the cinema there. I've got various family that used to work in sort of ladies' clothes shops. They're called Norton's. I mean, they were all old-fashioned shops, Mary's and places like that in Wells. I've had relations that worked in Clare's, Holloway and Clare's years ago. I mean, my family have always originated from this area. Obviously they either worked, or I've had friends that had butchers, Barners the butchers in Wells. I can remember people like Harris Motors, Sampson's Garage, Provincial Garage, oh loads, Jules Garage, all over the place here in Wells. And now we're probably down to 1, you know. And I mean, my grandfather, he was a bus driver for Bristol Omnibus, and he used to run which is now the tramways. It used to be called the Wells Buses Club. He used to be in charge of that, and he used to organise mystery tours on the old coaches and things like that, buses. So yeah, you know, there's so many things that have happened over the years. I mean, Wells itself is a lovely little town. It seems popular for sort of film locations. I think personally it's got to be preserved. You've got to have these memories. I mean, all these people that have got these memories, unless we do things like this, bring in photographs and memories to a place like this, it's just going to disappear. And you know, future generations, they're never going to be able to sort of look back and think, oh my God, you know, that's what it used to look like. The streets look so much bigger, wider, you know, in Wells, because it wasn't the traffic, but now it's so clogged up. But no, going back to, you know, I think it needs to be preserved like anything. Anything, you know, in the past. Over the years, it's just going to disappear, and there's going to be no history of it at all.
A few years ago on eBay I found a 1936 Wells City Carnival programme, and it contained the entries from my dad and my grandparents, which I was a bit surprised to find out that both my grandparents were actually in the carnival. And seeing the advert for the Community Day today made me realise that there were quite a few adverts of shops in the programme, so they've actually borrowed it for the exhibition, so that's quite nice. which shops were actually in the programme. I can't actually remember.
No, Beckington Cafe, that was there, and that was just as you came through the eye, Beckington Cafe. I didn't go in there, but I worked in Wells for about 18 months in the early 50s, worked at Claire's, but not on the printing side. They also did, they had a brush factory and different things, but I didn't stay that length of time. I joined the services, the WRAF, in 1952 for 4 years.
So there was also adverts in the programme for Philips, the photographers in Wales.
Yes, I can remember those.
They were quite pleased, the people at the exhibition, to actually have that advert, I think.
And next to that was Mac Fisheries, and next to that was one of Philips' shops that had all manner of stuff in the window. It was a proper old-fashioned place with, I think they had lamps and all sorts of things. Also, I can remember along that street there was Underdowns. That was the Gents Outfitters.
That's where I bought my school uniform though, wasn't it, as well?
Yes. And Gregory's Radio.
So Gregory's Radio, my dad actually worked at. When the war ended, he actually had the job of keeping the music going in the marketplace. So his job was to put the records on up in the upstairs room so that people could dance in the marketplace at the end of the war to the music. And then somebody, Mr. Kippax, came out and sort of took it over from his van, but I think there's a bit of competition between the two groups.
Yes.
It was Mitzi's, and it was just below Mitzi's of the Gents Outfitters, and they had all the old wooden and glass cabinets, and we used to go in there and buy these cloth caps at Christmas, I remember, for some old relatives. Then you go down the high street, Mum, I'm sure you can remember some other ones down the high street.
But I was going to say that there was another shop in that clothing shop prior to Mitzi's, but I can't remember the name of it. Moggs, the garden people, they used to have the shop next up again. A bit further up past the Swan Hotel, there was a glass and, you know, all type of crockery. But I've got a funny feeling that prior to that, that could have been a ladies' underwear shop. Very vague, that is. Then on the other side, where you've got the, it's the Crown, isn't it? The Crown Hotel. Well, their first window, as you come by the marketplace, that also was part of the photography business at Mr. Phillips. And that was another place that if you went in there, it was very, very old and, you know, as they were donkeys years ago. Well, you wouldn't know, would you? But
where Somerset Station, we used to have Somerset Stationery, didn't you, which Alan Southwood ran. And then they used to have a window with all the pictures from the journal. So you could, if you win a photo from the journal, you could go and have a look at the photos and you could buy the photos from the journal office that was there, couldn't you?
Yes, but that was just below the NatWest Bank.
Yeah.
What is now Primark, etc. When I worked in Wells, that was the actual printing part of Claire's printers that printed the journal. Just a bit below that, where Boots is now, the smaller window on the top side of Boots, that was an individual shop. One time it was Madame Ray's, which was ladies' underwear again. It also was, I believe, Maynard's Sweets. Years ago, what is now Boots, on that side of the high street, there was Macpherson's. He sold bicycles and toys, all sorts of things. That was another of the sort of like old.
It was called. Everyone used to call it Max, didn't they?
Yes.
And used to go in there, but it was like just full to the brim of just toys and puzzles and games and things, just piled high. You could hardly move through there, could you?
No, that's right.
That must have been down towards where Don's was. When you actually see the old pictures of Wells with all the canopies and things, you know, out, and they're quite small shops, it was quite... I know you can't go back to what was the past, but to actually lose the character and just have the modern fascias and everything is actually quite sad, I think. So I think that the Wells Civic Society, I think they're quite involved in trying to maintain some of the, you know, history.
I found that by coming to Wells, because, I mean, obviously, as I say, I'm a lot older than you, and I can remember the war and one thing and the other. And I think that when I came to Wells, I got the stability in life I'd never had before.
I was actually born in Easton, just 3 miles outside of Wells. Married in 1965, I haven't forgot that date, have I? But I've always worked in Wells, all my working life. First of all, I worked for a W&H Paul, well-known painters and decorators, sign writers. A lot of my time I was working actually in the high street, painting the shops and in the hotels. I've seen the high street become two-way. The parking places in the marketplace done away with the raised area in front of the town hall. I've seen all that sort of altered. And the narrowing of the high street to make it more pedestrian friendly. There's the lovely walks all around the moat, the palace gardens, the palace fields, all along the disused railway line, and the markets itself, which is the lifeblood of the city, I would have thought. I would love to see the high street become pedestrianised. I think it would help the shops because people would be able to spend more time walking up through the high street without having to worry about traffic coming down through. I think it would be an improvement to the high street. One of the shops that's come to line was Mr. Norton, the ladies and gents sort of outfitters, which now Waterstones. The beautiful old shop in the high street, Ways, the grocers, which with the kiosk in the centre of the shop where people used to do the paying, and also Crease and Gold down the bottom of the high street was again a real old grocer shop. Yeah, Drayton's, a piano shop, Madame Ray's, international stores, world stores, Wells City Central Hotel, which is now gone, the Star Hotel, which is another one that's gone. Yeah, I've no idea why the hotels would have left the high street. I presume just for commercial reasons. I don't know. They were all family-run hotels and the businesses. So yeah, sign of the times, I would presume. Quite a few of especially the family-run businesses have really suffered from the COVID epidemic. A lot of them have adapted through home deliveries with food. Georgie's in Queen Street was the main one that comes to light. Yeah, my wife was born in Wells. She's never known anything else other than Wells. Her auntie had a china shop in St Cuthbert Street for many, many years, and umbrella repairs. That's something that you can't imagine someone going and having an umbrella repaired, but she did.